Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. I've begun reflecting and planning for the Happiness Series 5. The focus of this year's Happiness Series will be on our lifestyle. We tend to be inconsistent, indisciplined with our lifestyle. So a series to manage how we're living better. Managing our space, managing our matters, managing our time. Those who are lazy, what do they do with their time? They waste time. Those who are aggressive, what do they do with their time? They spend time. And those who are quiet, what do they do with their time? They devote time. Meaningful Mornings is an opportunity for us to manage our lifestyles. If you felt this was a waste of time, if you were spending time, you wouldn't be here in such a disciplined way. You know that you are devoting time. In chapter 2, verse 7, Prince Arjuna asks Sri Krishna, what is the greatest for me, for all? And Sri Krishna responds, chapter 2, verse 11, Na anushochanti panditaha. Those who have collected contentment, then they do not succumb to stress, to anxiety, to sadness. In chapter 4, verse 4, Prince Arjuna asks Sri Krishna, what did you teach those who are leading themselves, like the sun and Ikshvaku and so on? And Sri Krishna responds, I taught them that their nature is being. And this gets expressed as doing, that they should remember that. Being while doing. And for those who know this, in verse 19 all the way to 23, today we will complete 23, Tam ahuhu pandita. The word pandita has come up again. The one who has collected contentment. They never get lost in doership and deservership. They are being their nature, so they always feel natural. These verses, 19 to 23, are about who our role model should be. Analyze who your role models are in life. And ideally, they're evolving to the descriptions that are shared in verses 19 to 23. If you have a role model, you should be modeling your lifestyle towards their lifestyle. Your vision to their vision. If you're not modeling this, they're not your role model. In verse 22 particularly, the word vimatsaraha is identified. Matsarya means to be jealous. Matsarati, when you slip ahead of me, I feel jealous. Vimatsaraha, the one who's beyond jealousy. What this is indicative of is infinitude. And that a characteristic of infinitude is inclusivity. And so naturally, a characteristic of finitude is exclusivity. If you think of all that we do in life, circumstances tend to arrange themselves where only one person can be the winner. One person can be the one who gains, and everyone else is excluded. Politics is like that, correct? Sports is like that. Schools are like that. With infinity, if you tune into infinity, if you become enlightened, I'm not excluded from that. I too can tune into infinity. I too can be included. Shared in another way, if I'm experiencing the highest gain, that is independent joy, then I no longer seek gain. When I don't seek gain, there's no sense of comparing. There's no sense of competing. If you're tired of comparing, competing, be tired of this sense of finitude and exclusivity, because this will help you to be passionate about infinity, inclusivity. When you stop comparing and competing, it doesn't matter. If someone else gains, that's your gain. What a lovely way to live. That we should model such role models. And descriptions of our role model are completed now in verse 23. With verse 24, there's a new flow of thought. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. The first quarter. Gata sangasya. One is freed of attachment. If one is freed of attachment, then naturally, muktasya, one is free then. One is independent. Reflecting on this, what causes us to be attached? When we don't know the relative. When Vivek does not know relativity, that is when Vivek becomes attached. And think of the implication, if I don't know the relative, automatically then, I also don't know the absolute. So I just go with the flow in the sense that all that everyone else is feeling, I should feel the same way. And what is everyone else feeling? Attachment. So I feel I should be the same way. Isn't that what happens with our families? We see everyone else is attached, so we feel this is normal in families. This is abnormal. When one knows how dependent they are, they become tired of that. They know this is inefficient, ineffective, and they start to live in an independent way then. Be conscious of your suffering. Suffering here means dependent joy. Jnana avastita chetasaha, one's mind, our role model's mind, avastita, is established in jnana, or knowing. In chapter 2, the word was stita prajna. Do you remember that? that one is established in wisdom, the same sentiment is used here. Jnana avastita. They're established in knowing. Though they're acting or doing, they know finally, fundamentally, they are being. Being what? Joy, because the only time we will ever be is when we are joyous. And such a feeling of I know I'm being while I'm doing makes one the best. They are the most efficient and effective. A way that we can practice or model such a role model. You've all heard me talk about the A's, B's, and C's, correct? Particles being circumstances. Now I'm going to reorient that to the C's, B's, and A's. C's, complaining. B's, blaming. A's, annotating. When you are engaged in your day, if you ever feel stress, anxiety, no complaining. Complaining tends to be about the circumstance. It's because it's cold outside. One of you wrote, you feel cold seeing how cold I am. I'm not cold, so why do you feel cold? No blaming. This is not towards circumstances, but tends to be towards being. Correct? And annotating is even more causal. It's where I feel I'm an exception and this doesn't apply to me. Why do I have stress? Why do I have anxiety? That's just how I am. You're excusing yourself. It's not about the circumstance or about others. This is an internal compromise. Okay? That's how we model to live like our role model. Third quarter. Yajnaya acharataha. How do they live? Acharataha. Their lifestyle is oriented towards yajna. They live by dedication. A yajna, and please note this, because the next 7 verses are going to share 12 practices, all in reference to a yajna. A yajna is built based on 2 facets, dedication and sacrifice. If you want to be even more simple, it is just dedication. Because wherever dedication is present, sacrifice naturally will be present too. Living by yajna means you know about what you're dedicated to, but you do not know what you are sacrificing. See the connection I tried to make? If you're complaining, blaming, annotating, what are you focused on? What you're sacrificing. If you know what you're sacrificing, that means you're not dedicating that, correct? But if you know what you're dedicated to, you will not even know what you're sacrificing. Those who have JOMO, or the joy of missing out, you don't even know what you're missing out, correct? Because you're joyous. Last quarter, samagram praviliyate, karma samagram praviliyate, the one who has these characteristics, all of their actions, praviliyate means dissolve. That is a very technical perspective. What it means is they are not affected by their actions. We are extremely affected by our actions. Why? Because we want what comes from our actions. Sharing one reflective thought on this last quarter. Right now, our minds are dominating us. And for those who are great, the greatest, like these verses are described, they don't live by the mind, they live by the intellect. Shri Krishna is the intellect in the context of Bhagavad Gita. The intellect is the holder of an ideal. The mind does not hold ideals, it is the intellect. Ideals like dedication, ideals like independence. When we have the ideal of living like these masters, we will become more dedicated and the mind will follow. The mind will follow. And our whole life will change when our mind starts to follow the intellect. It's almost like, if you can all visualize your master, your Sadguru. Imagine living with her or him. Wouldn't your whole life change then? When you're making decisions, deciding what to eat, how to speak, how to think. But we have that opportunity when we internalize such role models. From inspiration to application. Your recent application was to reflect on your relationship with cooking and eating food. In recent verses, Sri Krishna has shared, Shariram Kevalam Karma. Those who are the greatest, they act only for the survival of the body. Is that how you cook and eat? Only for the survival of the body? He continues by saying, Yad richa labha santushtaha. Which means whatever comes into your life, whatever comes onto your plate, what do? Smile. Choiceless cheer. Is that how you eat and cook? These verses are teaching us to live simply, and a great way to commence this is with eating and cooking. Simplify what you eat. Simplify what you cook. Simplify what you eat. If you want me to be even more tactile, cook and eat that which is better for the environment. That which is more aligned with nature. Your application for this morning, now that you've reflected on your relationship with cooking and eating, I want you to readjust your relationship. You come up with a plan and you follow that plan now. Especially because, as I mentioned, the forthcoming verses are about yajna, and the next verse, a very popular one, somehow got associated with food, even though it has nothing to do with food. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.